Hello and welcome back to Stop and Go F1 as we look at the Formula 1 race, Spanish Grand Prix that has just happened right there. But before we do that, firstly, you have to subscribe. But secondly, there are some apologies to hand out. Firstly, there was no qualifying reaction video yesterday. That's because I went to go see Coldplay instead. And I thought, you know what? When I get back, I'll do a qualifying reaction video and it'll be lovely and simple and we'll all be fine. I got in at like 1:30 in the morning and was very tired and just went to bed instead. So I'll do a bit of a qualifying reaction, a very brief one, in a second. Also, there was no F2 video because I watched the F3, made the video of it, then went back downstairs to get ready to watch the F2 and fell asleep on the sofa and missed the entire F2 race. So at some point, I will watch the F2 and do a reaction video to that as well. But right now, it's the F1. So let's have a look at the grid. Just a few things that were massively out of place. Firstly, Charles Leclerc only could qualify 19th. Not great from him at all. He started from the pit lane, as did Logan Sargent. Further up, Pierre Gasly qualified 4th, but had 2 impeding penalties, which, I'm glad that we're penalising impeding again. I'm glad that's a thing that's come back. But I mean, it's really just his team letting him down there. He should have started 4th. He started 10th due to the penalties. Also, people who are out of place. George Russell was 12th, and Sergio Perez started in 11th. Nico Hülkenberg did a great job to get the Haas into 7th, but the one most out of place, Lando Norris, starting 3rd for the Spanish Grand Prix. Oh, I hope he does well. Now, let's get into the race. Before the race even starts, George Russell goes off the track on the way to the grid, goes through the gravel. Didn't seem to hinder him that much, though. And the tyre choices at the start, it was Verstappen, Perez and Sargent on the mediums. Leclerc had the hards. Everyone else starting on the softs. Lights out and away we go. And Lando Norris instantly has damage. It was a good start for him. He was going head-to-head with Lewis Hamilton, where he just drove into the back of him round turn 2. I don't think Lewis is to blame for this at all. I think that was all on Lando there. Destroyed his front wing and destroyed his race entirely. I mean, I feel sorry for him, but it is his own fault there. That's his best chance of the season. Really good stuff. It looked like the McLaren had got some decent pace in the hands of Piastri in the race, but Lando threw it away, which is a real shame. In terms of at the front, Carlos Sainz had a better start than Max Verstappen, but he was on the softer tyres, so that's what you would expect. They went wheel to wheel into the first corner, but Max Verstappen came out ahead. Great start from the both from there. As we look further down, Lance Stroll had a terrific dive bomb into turn 5 on Lewis Hamilton. Really good goings there. I thought, wow, here we go. Lance Stroll, in qualifying, he qualified 5th compared to Alonso's 8th. The first time of the season that he's beaten his teammate in qualifying. And I thought, here we go. Maybe Lance Stroll has awoken. Here we go. We've awoken the beast that is Lance Stroll. Lando Norris pits to replace his front wing, and it's not even a good pit stop for him. Even for a front wing change, it still took forever. On lap 8, Lewis got back past Stroll for P3, then moved across to lap 11. There was a nice little battle between Russell and Ocon, where Russell got past for P5. Now, we have this overtake of the month award thing at the minute go around in Formula 1. And, I mean, there was plenty of overtakes in this race here. There was non-stop overtakes. But if you want overtake of the month from me, especially for this month, there is no better overtake I have seen than Nico Hülkenberg doing a beauty of a double overtake on Zhou and Yuki. I think he was overtaking Zhou down the main straight as Yuki came out of the pit lane, and he just got them both into turn 1. Beautiful stuff. Absolutely beautiful. That's my favourite overtake I've seen in a while there. Now, Leclerc, he was struggling. He pit for the hards on lap 16, which I think, he said later on the radio, was everyone else struggling on the hards? And no, they weren't. But I mean, 16 laps on the hards is really not good. When you can take into consideration people like Fernando and Lewis and George and Max, who are all making the softs last at least 20 laps. So to have the hards go 15, not good. So here we go. Here's when some of the guys at the front start to pit. So Fernando went from softs to softs on lap 20. Hamilton softs to medium, lap 25. Then Russell softs to medium, lap 25. Verstappen, medium to hards, lap 26. Now, on lap 28, George Russell says, "It's raining at turn 5, everyone. The rain has arrived." The rain hadn't arrived. Apparently, some sweat had fallen off his head onto his visor, and he thought it was rain. There was no rain at this race, even though it was predicted. It avoided the race. I imagine it's raining now. That's what normally happens. Perez pits from soft to hard on lap 28. And then Hamilton gets the overtake on Carlos Sainz for P2 on that lap as well. And then we see Sergio and Fernando Alonso have a battle for P8. Sergio gets past him on lap 31. And then Russell gets past Sainz for P3 on lap 35. A few laps later on lap 42, Carlos Sainz pits to go for the hards. Yes, a tough race for the Ferraris, definitely, especially one of them. A tough race for the Astons too. Definitely Aston's worst race of the year so far. Really is not showing any pace. We'll get onto that a lot more later on when we go through the finishing positions. Let's carry on for now, though, because we start to see the final pit stops. Russell pits for softs on lap 46. Hamilton comes in for softs lap 51. Perez also on lap 51. Now, Alonso goes for an overtake on Ocon, and Ocon does some of the most aggressive defending I've ever seen. Pushes Alonso not only nearly into the wall and start-finish straight, but across over the pit line exit and a bit onto the grass. Alonso still manages to get past, but I mean, that's a penalty, surely. I don't even know if it was investigated, but to me, that's just a clear-cut penalty that wasn't given out. And we'll go on about this later, but Yuki Tsunoda got a 5-second penalty for forcing another driver off the track in a move that was far, far, far less aggressive than what Ocon did to Alonso. So how the hell Ocon's got away with that, I'll never know. But there we go. We'll keep on going. Max Verstappen does his final pit stops to the soft on lap 53, and at this point he's leading the race. He's led every lap. He's just missing that fastest lap to get the Grand Slam. And basically at this point he'd been given a few track limits warnings, which he was very confused by because he didn't think he had, but there you go. And his engineer, old GP, was basically saying, "Look, mate, we've got this race in the bag here. Let's not go for fastest lap because you've got some warnings and I don't really want you to get any penalties for track limits." And Max said nothing and then set the fastest lap. We keep on going though because Perez gets past Sainz for P4 on lap 53, and then the commentators started building up this battle of Russell and Perez for the last podium place. So Perez was about 6 seconds down with 10 laps to go, and then with about 5 laps to go, he's still about 4 seconds down. And then with 2 laps to go, he's still about 3 seconds down. But the commentators are still like, "Oh, can he do it? Can he do it?" No, obviously he can't. He's not going to gain 2 seconds a lap out of nowhere. I mean, it's simple maths here. I don't know why they were selling this story. Yeah, he was gaining on him, but nowhere near the pace needed to actually challenge. Never mind, catch him. He was never going to catch him. Never mind challenge him. I know you have to try and get excitement from somewhere towards the end of a race like this, but that was not the place to go. As I said, Yuki gets a 5-second penalty, and then we crossed the line. So it was Max Verstappen who won. Lewis Hamilton comes home in second. Then George Russell finishes at the podium. Fantastic result for Mercedes there. It was Perez in fourth. Great recovery drive for him. Sainz manages to keep fifth. Stroll was sixth from Alonso in seventh. Alonso comes over the radio and goes, "Oh, look, I'm not going to attack Lance. Let him have this one." And then on the last lap, while still racing and still catching Stroll, he's drifting around corners, he's waving to the crowd. He's living his best life, is Fernando Alonso at the minute. He had fun here, even though this was Aston's worst race by far. Quite a standout result for them so far. Ocon came home in 8th, then it was Zhou, Gasly, Leclerc, and then Yuki in 12th. Now, Yuki did finish 9th, but with the penalty gets pushed down to 12th. Piastri 13th. It was then, I can't even read my own writing. Who was 14th? I've written the word bear. Why have I don't know. 1 second, everyone. I'm going to have to look up who was 14th, because I have written the word bear there. And a bear did not finish the race. In 14th, it was Nick De Vries. Why have is that supposed to be De Vries? Who knows? Anyway, 15th was Hülkenberg, 16th Albon, 17th was Lando Norris, 18th was Magnussen, 19th Bottas, and 20th was Sargent. Yeah. So overall, I thought the race was enjoyable. Lots of good overtakes. I think the removal of chicane has really improved the racing in general. Good times for all, unless you are Charles Leclerc, Lando Norris, Yuki Tsunoda. Yeah. So there you go. Driver of the day for me will go through tomorrow on the driver rankings. But in terms of my predictions, what were they? Well, firstly, my first prediction was that Mercedes would overtake Aston in the Constructors, which they have done. And my second prediction was that Alpine would be the second fastest team. Well, they finished 8th and 10th, so that was wrong. There you go. Got half of them right. Right, we'll be back tomorrow for driver ratings. At some point, I'll get around to doing the Formula 2. Then next week, there'll be no Formula 1, but we have got a video nonetheless. I'll be making that in the week, so make sure you subscribe to see that. And I'll be back after this for Canada, which is always a fun one, so that should be good. I'll see you then. Until then, goodbye.